Welcome to our first ever school safety talk show here at Rockford High School.
Today we get to cover so many important topics relating to school safety and all the different things you can do to implement being safe in the school setting.
We have stories featuring the mental health aspect involved with bullying happening in schools, safety regulations in education departments, and the tragedy that occurred at Oxford High School on November 30th of last year. I'm Madeline Kennedy.
And I'm Janae Danowski. We invite you to listen to these hard-hitting stories that have impacted many lives.
You have to really hate someone to say you want to kill them.
We have a lot of topics we are going to be covering today, but the first story we are going to discuss is the effects of bullying.
The words and actions of others can have a long-lasting effect on a person's mental health.
Macy Dion, a recent graduate from Rockford, experienced this at a very young age, and being in an atmosphere in something like this is nothing someone should have to go through.
Bullying in schools is something that gets overlooked, and we feel that is a very important topic that needs to be discussed here at Rockford High School. People of all ages have experienced different things in their lives, and today we get told a story where bullying is experienced at first hand.
My story on bullying started when I was in about 5th grade, but I'm better now, and I almost appreciate the situation because it taught me to be stronger.
Is that fine?
I heard that a girl had said that she wanted to kill me. I wasn't gonna tell my parents, but then I just kind of brought it up like I didn't realize it was like a big deal.
When students feel like they're in a difficult situation, they may behave in a negative way.
My stepdad called one of his friends who's a police officer and was like, what do I do? Like, is this something that I get you guys involved? Is this something I just go to the school about? Like, what do we? And the police officer was like, I think that you should get the police involved.
The saying, hurt people, I think it says a lot about bullies. They are either trying to avoid the attention themselves, or they're trying to make themselves feel better by hurting other people.
You have to really hate someone to say you want to kill them, you know? I begged them not to call the cops. I was like, please don't. It will make everything so much worse for me. I know I'll get bullied even more. They already hate me, I begged them.
So bullying can lead to, students feeling inadequate, insecure, tear down somebody's self-esteem, self-image. It can make them question their identity.
Now I look back and I still feel like they shouldn't have treated me like that, but also they're not worth it.
If students feel loved and supported, then hopefully those students will help love and support others.
It just got to the point where I was just very, very sad, every day.
It is so important to voice out on these issues, and it's so brave of Macy for telling her story.
I agree. Nobody knows how bad words can hurt. It is so significant to think before what you say to others. Feeling safe in your own school can start with how others treat you, and if you feel protected within the building walls.
Beyond our personal expectations of safety, students also rely on our school's administration to have solid plans in the event of an emergency. Our next story that we will be showing you today is how our school performs Code Red drills.
There are so many ways they use to implement us being safe every day, and these drills are crucial to create an environment where students feel safe to go to school every day.
Good morning, staff and students. Sorry for the interruption. At this time, we do have a scheduled lockdown drill.
Code Red drills.
Okay, so that's an empty hallway.
Required twice a year by the state of Michigan to ensure the safety of students if someone or something were to enter the building during the school day.
It's just something that we do in case something should happen throughout the year.
There could be an active shooter in the building. There could be a rabid animal in the building.
Code Red drills are practiced from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade.
We'll get on the all call and say, this is just a drill. We don't want to scare people.
The administrations, assistants, and security departments are all part of the drill, making sure students are in the right place in the case of a real-life event.
That's good. If you ever were to have that happen, what would you do?
We go around to every hallway, every nook and cranny of the building, and just check.
Try to yank on the doors, see if the doors open or close.
B hallway, clear.
Are students walking around?
That's mainly administration and security's job, is to make sure that everybody's doing the drill correctly.
During these drills, you should turn off all lights in the room and make sure you are not visible by any windows.
Avery asked a great question. What if Mr. Hosford or somebody comes on the thing and says, this is not a drill, we're going into a lockdown, and I'm in the hallway? What do I do?
Although this may be different for other situations,
Well, if you're not in your classroom, we want our students to try to find an open classroom. Run to an open classroom and get in.
if this is a real-life situation,
We're going to have police from everywhere coming here, okay? So if there is something like an active shooter or something going on outside, we are going to have a lot of law enforcement here.
And that could look different depending on the situation. So we're hoping students through kindergarten all the way up through high school and all the drills they have to do every year, just have an awareness of that.
although it might not feel the same as a real-life situation, practicing these drills will help you more than you know. This has been Hudson Faisenfeld with Beyond the Rock, signing off.
Code Red drills are so important to practice, especially so we as students know how we can stay safe and protect ourselves if a situation like this were ever to occur.
Our security officers, our principals, and staff do so much to keep us safe, and we are so grateful that Rockford puts such a focus on practicing these drills and safety precautions.
Feeling protected in a school environment is very important for students because unfortunately sometimes tragedy strikes. For students in Oxford, Michigan, tragedy did strike, and terrible events like this bring important questions to the forefront of school safety.
It's so unfair for students to have to face this at such a young age. We wanted to give you a look at what some of these kids had to experience in November of last year and discuss the important stories surrounding such a devastating day.
Today, at about 12:51, we have over 100 911 calls into our dispatch center.
Tuesday, November 30th, 2021 is a day Oxford High School students will never forget. That day, a 15-year-old student opened fire and claimed the lives of 4 other beloved students. It was around 12:51 in the afternoon. The shooter exited a bathroom with gun in hand and made his way down the hallways.
And deliberately walked down the hallway, aiming the firearm at students and firing.
Minutes later, lives were lost, and the shooter was arrested. He is now being held in Oakland County Jail awaiting trial. This incident will be held in the minds of students and family for the rest of their lives. It is crucial now that we all reflect and help those who have had to endure this tragedy, and it is time we work together for a real change. This has been Maddie Nunn with Beyond the Rock, signing off.
It is so important to honor the lives lost on this day and everyone affected by this tragedy.
Going through something so surreal can affect a person's mental health tremendously, as it might seem impossible to go back to school and act like everything is normal.
On Tuesday, November 30th, a tragedy occurred at Oxford High School that nobody will ever forget.
Our last story we will be featuring on this special episode is how someone can be resilient in these difficult times. When something like events of Oxford happens, it is easy to ask the question, how do we move on?
This may be a very hard topic, but it teaches us how to lean on others and stand together as a community.
Seeing this tragedy that students face really showed the support from all across the country and how we feel for them. It shows the Oxford community that they are not walking alone in their journey.
After the break, we will see how the people of Oxford used others around them to overcome this unforgettable day.
Vigil was held in Michigan to remember the lives lost in that school massacre that left 4 students dead and several others injured.
We're learning more about the lives that were lost during this week's school shooting in Oxford, Michigan.
And can't imagine a world where they could ever step back in that school.
Not knowing where the gunshots would be next.
I was laying down, trying to just get as far away from the door, like hide as possible.
My teacher ran to the room, locked it, we barricaded.
Yeah, like you never think it'll happen to you and like to your school until it really does, and it just doesn't feel real.
On Tuesday, November 30th, a tragedy occurred at Oxford High School that nobody will ever forget. The lives of 4 students were taken that day and will forever remain in the hearts of the Oxford community. After an event like this, students' lives were changed, and their perspective of high school would never be the same.
When something happens, typically, the first thing is like shock.
I think like the first time I actually got it in my brain that it happened at my school was when I looked on the news or when I went to one of the vigils.
Students like Rachel will never walk through their school halls the same. Although the staff and students who were there that day will never erase this tragedy from their memories, it is important for each person to take small steps towards recovery and healing.
Identify strategies that you know that work for you, that you can execute right away.
I've just focused on my friendships and let people know that I love them.
What we don't want to do is neglect that and then something happened and then we're lost. Or we go to something unhealthy and it just makes it worse. So just continue to foster those coping skills, nurture them.
And those coping skills go beyond just the individual and apply to the community at a large, who is a long but important road of healing together.
They just all came together and supported us. They let us know that we're that they're there for us, and they did stuff right after it happened to get us the high school the students back together, and just let us know that we're safe.
Already, nearly 100 high schools across Michigan have joined the mission, which will kick off at the start of February in gymnasiums across the state.
Every day, the community has been reminded of this tragedy, making it harder for some to move on. Many have learned the importance of ways to cope and how to get out of bed every day knowing your life will not be the same. Going through this kind of trauma at this young of age can be detrimental to your mental health, making it so important to identify how to walk through the storm. Schools across the globe have tried to help their community, including our hometown, Rockford, Michigan. As
a state, we had every basketball game on this certain day earlier in the basketball season. It was an Oxford tribute game where there were shirts handed out. There was a moment of silence for that community. They were in our thoughts and prayers after that situation, remain in our thoughts and prayers right now. It's a tough situation, and it's something that's going to affect that community forever. And we're always open to ideas on how we can help support a community like Oxford that went through this tragedy, or other communities that are going through tough times as well.
The students and community of Oxford valued and cherished all the support they've received from others around the country. A day like Oxford will always live in their memory, but what they really want is for everyone to learn from them so that nothing like this can happen anywhere else. Here at Rockford High School, they will forever remain in our hearts and prayers. This has been Natalie Siciliano with Beyond the Rock. Signing off.
A lot of people tend to focus on the event that occurred, but I think it's more important to focus on the students and the people this has impacted. The mental health of the Oxford community is so significant.
They are so strong for dealing with this event, and they persevered greatly. I know that personally I can't even imagine the pain of the students, family, staff, and community had to fight through.
To the Oxford community and everyone affected by this tragedy, you are heard and seen. We are so sorry for your losses, and we support you in every step of the way.
You have so many people who appreciate you and who are there to help you cope during these difficult times.
Today, we have discussed and learned so many important topics on the importance of mental health, school safety, and the devastating events happening around the world. We can't always prevent everything, but we can work on making school a safer place. It's a discussion that should never end. Once again, I'm Janae Danowski.
And I'm Madeline Kennedy. We thank you for tuning in to our very first ever Safety Talk Show, and we hope to see you in the future.